I'm a creative. And so in order to create what I needed, I had to step out.
What made you think, "Hey, I kinda wanna go
Oh,
solo?"
I'm s-
And then what allowed you to feel like you needed bravery and like you were brave enough to do it?
yeah, I mean, I think it's like, the very nature of entrepreneurship is a constant pushing through fear, and a constant pushing through, like, it's transitioning, it's living in a constant transition from the known to the unknown. And I think, like, when you're even working with somebody, you're doing this, but you feel safer in it, because there's a paycheck and there's some structure and there's some, whatever. But it's really building that risk muscle, and it takes courage. And so, like, the first steps are like, oh my gosh, I have to have the courage to quit my job, right? Like, and look, some people, they lose their jobs and become solo and become successful at it. But for me, it was like, I have to quit my job. I have a child, I have a paycheck, I've got daycare, I've got law school loans. Like, I've got to walk in and just say, I'm done with this. And that's the initial step of any entrepreneurial journey. And then it's, well, I've got to build this. And what if people think it's odd or funny, or what if I don't succeed, or what if I go bankrupt? And then it becomes things like, okay, I'm going to take the risk and I'm going to hire people, and I'm going to take the risk on this marketing spend, and then I'm going to take the risk on this case, and I'm going to take the risk, I'm going to bet. And so a lot of it comes down to having some courage, which is, look, courage isn't just like raw. It's like, hey, no, there are known risks here. There are things that can go very wrong. And I'm going to believe in myself or this or the people around me enough to go for it.
What was what led you to decide, "Okay, now's the time I wanna go out on my own"?
Honestly, I was in Bahamas. I was on vacation, and I was reading the Steve Jobs biography. And at the time, I was 32 years old. Yeah, that's right, 32. And what I had realized was, I'm like, look, by the time Steve Jobs was 32, he was like founded Apple and was like kicked out of Apple at the time. And I'm like, you know, I just felt like my life was becoming too conservative. Like, I was not living to my fullest. Like, I was doing good things. I liked the people I work with. I liked the work I did, but I wasn't fulfilling my potential. And I'm a creative, and so in order to create what I needed, I had to step out. So it was a feeling of like, what am I going to do with the rest of my life? Which is a question I ask myself often. But it was a question that I asked myself at that time: what am I going to do? And it was like, I needed to create the thing that I needed at the time. And I look, I had a few Bahama mamas, and then I texted a friend, and I was like, hey, why don't we start a law firm? And that text led to conversations that led to the actual starting of a firm. And it was, I think, a moment of realization for me that I need to go for it in life.